Good morning. Welcome to
Hey there.
the family meeting. Thomas is already making me laugh this morning.
We are ready for a great day with all of you. It's going to be incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
It's going to be the most spectacular episode you've ever had. Just phenomenal. So much goodness that it is going to be just the most amazing thing you've ever seen.
You're setting us up for failure because, like, you don't want to be the person who's like, no, I make the best mac and cheese in the world. It's the best homemade mac and cheese you'll ever have. And then...
But it is. Yours is.
Well, I'm just saying. Like,
yours is.
Okay. Listen, guys.
Best lasagna, too. See, I had men's night out last night. Get this, right? Men's night out last night.
Yep.
We go to a restaurant, and she tells me earlier in the day, like, hey, I'm making lasagna for supper for the kids.
Yeah,
and I'm like... It's one of my favorite meals you absolutely make. And she's like, I'm making it without you, so.
Because the girls requested it, and I had enough time last night, so it was when I made it. But then to rub it in while he was out, I sent him a picture of the lasagna right when it came out of the oven, like steaming and like golden brown on the top.
I literally just texted back, you suck.
Yeah, I laughed really hard.
Which the lasagna would have been better than the food I had at the restaurant. Yeah.
Home cooked is usually better.
I'll get this. So we go to this restaurant down near the beach. It was a horrible experience, by the way, because it's like men's night out. We're there to like connect and talk with each other. And we go and they're doing a trivia show. And the volume is so loud, you cannot hear each other talk.
Whoopsie.
But I ordered just an appetizer, and I was like, I'm going to have a slice of
key lime
pie. And she's like, how do you want it? I'm going to just bring it all at the same time. It's fine. So she sets the appetizer down and then all of a sudden like drops this plate in front of me that has like this slice of cheesecake or key lime pie that is like this big and it's like literally this thick.
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it was good, but it was just way too much.
Well, and usually key lime pie is kind of a smaller piece of pie.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
They're usually thin, and I don't know.
So I wasn't going to eat much. It was like I got an appetizer of the like firecracker shrimp, and then just going to have a small piece of pie. And it was like this gigantic thing. Yeah. So the guys were all taking pictures of it. And
oh, were they?
Yeah.
Roasting you?
Yeah, so we'll see where that comes up.
Yeah, so we've had a busy little bit of couple of weeks, whatever. I don't know. We went to Alabama.
Yeah,
we went to...
We left a week ago, tomorrow.
Yeah. So, one of the girls who was just a little girl in our church when we first started our very first ministry...
Yeah.
Is having a baby, and so we got to go, and I got to be a part of the baby shower.
I did not.
He skipped that out. But we got to see a lot of...
Spend time with
old
them, yeah.
friends that really feel like family, and it was a really beautiful time. And meanwhile, our nieces came in to stay here with the girls. So 6 teenage girls in the house, no adults, which is really how you want it to be.
Yeah, I was glad.
6 girls.
I was glad to be gone. Like, yeah. I love them. I love spending time with them. But here's what happens. And maybe this happens at your house too, where the volume just keeps getting increasingly louder until it's like volume 200.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this one talks over this one, over this one, over this one, and then pretty soon just they're screaming at each other.
The trivia show was quieter than these girls get at night when I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, our dinner time with the lasagna was pretty loud.
Was it?
Yeah, it was really loud. And then we went for a nice walk afterwards. And
they're so much fun, though.
Yeah, we've had a really good time. And then I will be driving my girls and the cousins back to Iowa and seeing grandparents and aunts and uncles and everybody on Sunday. I leave Sunday.
So the next episode that drops, Lysandra will be in Iowa. I will be bacheloring it for a couple days, and my cousin comes to town. Cuz is coming.
Yeah. So we've got a full summer. I'm sure you do too. You're probably vacationing and visiting family and having special days that you wouldn't normally get to have when school is in session and maybe normal work days are happening. So we'd love to hear from you what your summer's like. How crazy is it? Or are you having like a nice quiet summer? We don't have quiet summers.
Hopefully you're having the summer of your life.
Yeah.
Best summer ever, just like this episode.
Best episode ever.
Yep.
We should really keep their expectations low.
No, I've got a ton of surprises planned. We're talking about having fun with your spouse?
No.
Oh, well, we might change the topic then.
No, we are not. I don't want to redo that episode.
Those of you that missed that episode, you might want to go back and find it.
Yeah. It's terrible.
She's still terrified. Every time I move my arm, she's like, what do you got? What are you doing?
All right. Go, babe.
Okay.
Go time.
Here we go. Gather round, everybody. It's time for a family meeting.
Oh, my goodness. Stop it. Be normal. Be a human being.
It's supposed to be the best episode ever. I got to jazz it up.
I think you're jazzing it is making it the worst episode ever.
The family meeting is a show. Woo, woo, woo. Sorry, I don't know how to do the jazz thing.
No, you do not.
Show that's all about family relationships. We're the Ostracamps. I'm Thomas, and this is my very annoyed wife, who, as a grandmother, wants to be called Lissy. What do you guys think about that, by the way? Her name's Lysandra. She doesn't want to be called Grandma.
No,
she wants
I
the
can't
kids
be
to
called
call
Grandma.
her Lissy. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Whatever.
Granny.
No. All right. Hello and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 248 of the Family Meeting Podcast. We're glad you're with us today. On today's episode, we're going to discuss your marriage relationship. This was a little phrase that we heard. We thought it was really good and we wanted to talk about it in depth really today. So here's the phrase. Say what you mean what you say, but don't say it in a mean way. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about speaking the truth, but speaking it in love, being direct, but not being a jerk.
Before we do that, though, we are just a month away from relationship refresh, and we want to invite you to beautiful Flagler Beach for a great time working on your marriage relationship, getting some sun, time in the sand, all that great stuff. And here's the thing. Tickets are only $25 per couple. So no matter who you are, you can afford it.
That's right.
And so we want to encourage you to come and be a part of that. We're going to be talking about man versus wife, looking at and focusing on the differences that we have. And understanding those differences can help us better relate to each other. It'll be overall better for your marriage relationship as you seek to understand each other. And so I want to encourage you to be a part of that. You can go to familymeeting.org/shop, and you will see the little graphic for relationship refresh right there. You can grab your tickets today, and we'd love to see you here. I know we got friends from Iowa making their way down for it. We'd love to see you as well. And we got a special episode coming up because we're on episode 248 today.
Yep.
Which is quite amazing, but we're getting ready for that milestone 250th episode. And our girls are coming back.
Yeah. The girls are back in town.
Yep, they're in high demand. Every time they're on, people keep asking, why aren't they on more? But they're coming back for a takeover and going to be talking about the worst things a parent can say to their child.
Yeah.
And this is where we need all of your help because we want to hear from you. What's the worst thing a parent could say to a child? Maybe it's something your parent said to you. Maybe, I hope you didn't say it, but maybe you said it to your child. And you want to share those things with us, or do you just like thinking about it and you're like, yeah, this is the worst thing they could say to their child? So you can do one of two things. You can shoot us an email, info@familymeeting.org, and pass that along, worst thing a parent could say to a child. You can also text us at 904-257-3062. If you're watching by way of YouTube, right now in the comments, you can just put, hey, this is the worst thing a parent can say to a child, and put it in there, and we'll make sure to add that as well. And, that'll be a good discussion for our daughters as they make their way back, kind of fill us in on what's going on in their lives, and hear about the worst things a parent can say to their child. That's just 2 weeks away.
All right. So let's talk about today's episode. Say what you mean and mean what you say, but don't say it in a mean way. We're going to kind of break this down, and we're going to first of all talk about that first part that says, say what you mean and mean what you say. This is really about honesty in the way you communicate with your spouse. And it seems simple, right? It seems simple. Like,
oh, yeah.
Just tell the truth to your spouse. Like, of course. But, like, of course.
So easy to do. Like, hey, does this dress make me look fat?
I think every dress you wear makes you look fat.
That hurts, first of all.
But it's actually, it can be really difficult to be honest with your spouse. And there are a lot of different reasons why. Sometimes we just don't want to be vulnerable and let them know how we're really feeling.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're afraid to hurt their feelings.
Okay, so I brought up that like trap.
Does this make me look fat?
That wives often get, or like, do these jeans make my butt look big? And it's like, no, your butt makes your butt look big, but it's a different story.
It's true.
What is the correct response to that question? Does this make me look fat?
The correct response depends on the truth. Like, because there are some dresses or some clothing that like just is not flattering on that particular woman's body. Like, so we don't all wear the same stuff because we have very differently shaped bodies.
So you're saying you telling a husband just to say yes if it does?
No.
Okay.
No.
So that's what I mean is like, what is the correct response?
I'm just saying there's not one correct response. Are you saying what's the correct response if it does make her look fat?
Yeah.
Okay. So if your wife comes to you and says, does this outfit make me look fat? And it really does, then you can take your tip from Thomas, because this is what Thomas says to me. He goes, it's not really flattering on you. And I really appreciate that, because I know he's not insulting my actual body. He's saying that particular outfit, dress, pants, whatever, it's not flattering to my shape.
So I'll say this also about this conversation. And this really has nothing to do with what we're talking about. We got derailed a little bit. It's a fun conversation.
It's always you.
And it touches what we're going to talk about, like talking with honesty. But I'm just saying, like, wives, you also have to be honest in when you ask a question, wanting a response like that. If you really want to know how you look in it and expect an honest answer, don't ask the question if you can't accept the response. You know what I mean? Don't hate on your husband because he tells you, he gives you an answer for the question you've asked. Now, he shouldn't be a jerk in doing it. So we've had this conversation before about it. It's like, hey, if you ask me, I'll be honest. I'll be kind. I'll be respectful. But I'm not going to let you walk. For us, like Lysandra, and we've talked about, she has talked in length about some of her body issues in the past. So I'm not overstepping by bringing this up. Because I know that about Lysandra, I'm not going to let her walk out of the house in something that I think that she's going to feel bad about herself in.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. Like, when I ask that question, I really mean it. Well, I don't think I ever say, like, does this make me look fat? I just say, like, should I wear this or not? Or, like, is this good or bad?
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily asking.
So, like, the other day you were going to the
baby shower.
And she did the try on stuff.
Yeah.
So
I was like, okay, these are my options.
Personal fashion show for me.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, which one? Which one is the best? And there was one that you were like, that just seems too casual. It's just not dressy enough. It was like, kind of like dressy shorts and a tank top. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Because I was kind of not going that way anyway.
And then there was one, it was kind of like very, very flowy. Mm-hmm. And so, because of the way that you're shaped, it just made you look way larger than you actually are.
I think it was actually more like, it's like a potato sack type dress. Like, it's where it just like hangs. Like, there's no...
Yeah. And because you're not...
shape to it.
You're not small on top, then it just kind of flows down and makes you look a lot larger. So I just knew, like, looking back, if you looked at pictures of yourself at the event, you would be very discouraged.
I'm sure that is true. And sometimes I'm trying to push myself to something different, and I really shouldn't do that because then I just feel bad later. But I appreciate the honesty, and I actually want honesty. And I'm guessing you want honesty in your marriage too, probably, even when it's hard. Like, because there are times when it can really hurt feelings, or it can be difficult to say the real truth or just be vulnerable about what's going on. But here's what you got to realize. When you are completely honest and you say what you mean and you mean what you say, it's going to build trust. It's going to like create this emotional intimacy that you would not have had otherwise. Honest and clear communication cultivates trust. It's really, really important. If your spouse tells you like, "Oh no, you look great in that dress,"
why is your voice so high when you say that?
I'm being you, honey. You look great in that dress, even though it makes you look really fat. You look so great in it. And then later they see the pictures and they're like, "Why did you tell me to wear that? It's so bad." Guess what? Do you trust them the next time?
No,
you do not trust them.
But I think also, like, if there are probably some women out there who, when they ask that question, the only response they want is, you look great. Mm-hmm. Which, if that's the response that you want, make sure your husband knows that.
That's what honesty is.
Yeah.
Honesty is saying, listen, when I ask this, I just need you to affirm that I look good. That's all I'm wanting. That's honesty.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really important. But it's good when both spouses speak their minds. You know, it's going to create this sense of reliability and safety in the relationship. Being open and honest about thoughts and feelings is also going to deepen your emotional connection. It's going to bring you closer together. So if you do have this thing going on in your relationship where you're just not fully being honest, like, for instance, if you feel like your spouse works too much and they're not spending enough time with you, or they're not spending enough time with the kids, and they go off, and you just, every time they go off to work, you're just like irritated, or they're working at home when you feel like, this is our family time, why are you working right now? And you just keep it inside. You just get bitter, more angry. You're holding that grudge against them constantly. And every time you see them working, it's like sandpaper on a wound. Like, what you've done is you're not being honest with them about how you feel about the situation. And it's taking your connection farther away. It's creating bitterness in your heart, and it's going to ruin it. It's going to ruin your heart. It's going to ruin your relationship. So you've got to be honest.
And we think about what James has told us, the book of James, not just some random guy named James, by the way, the Apostle James. He wrote this in chapter 5, verse number 12. He says, "But above all, my brothers, do not swear either by heaven or by earth or by any other oath." So he's referencing something Jesus taught in Matthew chapter number 5, where they're talking about, hey, don't swear by the temple or, other things. So for us, we might say, I swear on my mother's life, or I swear on my daddy's grave, or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he's not talking about like what we would think of like curse words. He says, but let your yes be yes and your no be no, so that you may not fall under condemnation. So, in other words, you shouldn't have to add something to what you're saying to get people to believe you. Mm-hmm. Like, I swear on the Bible that X, Y, or Z.
Right.
People should just know that when you say yes, you mean yes. When you say no, you mean no. If you say you're going to do it, it's just that your communication is honest.
Yeah. So we have this in our relationship. I don't make Thomas swear on the Bible or swear on his grandmother's grave or something like that. But there is something that I do with Thomas, because I know his word is honest. Because you don't lie to me.
I will not lie to you, no.
He will not lie to me. So when I'm like, okay, I want you to put your stuff away that's in the garage. Right?
And I'll say okay.
He'll say okay. And I'm like, nope. Nope, don't say okay to me. I'll be like, okay.
I will do it.
Yeah.
Which I did do it, by the way. I did yesterday. I put
my
my stuff in the garage away.
That's why I brought this up. But he will say, I'll make him say, I will put my stuff in the garage away today. And if I can get him to say the full sentence, I know it will happen, because I really, truly trust his word. Like, if he says it, it's gonna happen. That's how much I trust his word.
And she didn't have to make me say it yesterday. I volunteered. I said, I'll put my stuff away today. I had a Bible study I did for Men of Valor Ministries over Zoom yesterday morning. I had an interview for a Pastor's Connection podcast. And then I had time after that until the evening when we did our men's night out. And I said, I have time in between that to put my stuff away in the garage. There was a big cooler, put that away. And then Lysandra wanted business cards for her painting company. Mm-hmm. And so I said, I'll have time to do that today. And got them all done.
He was a superhero husband yesterday.
But that's the thing, is like, when you tell your wife you're going to do something, she should just be able to know he's going to do it.
Yeah.
That you tell your husband, hey, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z, or stop doing X, Y, or Z. They should just know that you mean what you say what you mean. Mm-hmm. And when we have this honest, clear communication, it prevents resentment. Mm-hmm. As Lysandra kind of mentioned already, that sandpaper just keeps on rubbing and causing more of an issue. It also prevents repetition of problems. So one of the things that happens a lot of times in relationships, for a bunch of different reasons, we kind of avoid real concerns. So we just say things like, oh, I'm fine.
I'm fine. You're fine. We're fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Kids are fine.
And you just kind of ignore what's really going on.
Yeah.
That just leads to reoccurring conflict.
Yeah.
Emotional exhaustion, disconnection. So if we can learn through honest communication how to address small issues early, it stops them from becoming big problems. And this is the thing, like if you just ignore it by hoping it'll go away, by just saying I'm fine, it's not going to go away. It's only going to get worse. And it's like that thing Lysandra heard one time, and she likes to bring it up all the time about the rug. Go ahead. I know you're thinking it. I know you want to say it.
You can sweep it under the rug, but the more you sweep under the rug, eventually you're going to trip on that rug. It's good.
Yeah, it becomes a pile.
That's right. All right, listen, when you are completely honest and you're saying what you mean, you're meaning what you say, it is going to improve the way that you guys resolve conflict, all right? If you can figure out this clear communication and this honest communication, it's going to help you solve your disagreements constructively rather than making them escalate and they become worse and worse and worse. It's going to enhance your understanding. It's going to prevent misunderstandings. All right. Your spouse is not a mind reader, whether you're a female or a male. You're not mind readers, okay?
Yeah.
Sometimes we act like the women are always supposed to, or the men are supposed to mind read for the women, but it can go both ways, right? Just speak clearly with your spouse. Just be honest and open in your communication. And then there can't be as much misinterpretation or assumptions. Like, I'm assuming he's mad or I'm assuming she's fine. But this is now going to allow both spouses to truly understand each other's expectations, feelings, thoughts, opinions, how they're doing in general. So make sure that you are saying what you mean. Stop being vague. Stop kind of like hiding the truth about how you're feeling.
Well, and in talking about avoiding miscommunication or even misinterpretation, when both of you are speaking clearly, communicating clearly, saying what you mean, meaning what you say, if I hear you saying something, I'm not just going to assume that's what you mean. Like, I want to be as clear as possible as well. So if Lysandra tells me something and I'm not quite sure, I'm not going to pretend like I know what she's talking about. I'm just going to say, is this what you mean? Mm-hmm. Right? And so it kind of goes both ways. But one of the things that it does is it strengthens boundaries and reduces stress.
Yeah.
So when you voice your needs and limits, it prevents you from feeling overwhelmed or resentful later.
Yeah, that's very true.
So like, as you can tell, if you've been listening to the podcast for more than 10 minutes, you probably can tell I like to joke around a lot with Lysandra. I like to tease Lysandra. It is kind of the way that I flirt with her. And some people look at that and they're like, man, I don't know how she can put up with that.
So many people have asked me, how do you not kill him?
Yeah. She's like,
The
I have a lot of self-control. But here's the thing. Lysandra has communicated very clearly with me what her boundaries are.
Yeah.
So I know, going back to the whole body issues, like I don't joke about Lysandra's body. And so there's certain things that I just am not going to say because she's communicated openly. And I've done the same thing for her. Like, hey, these are boundaries where, I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with that. That makes me uncomfortable. And we can kind of talk through those things together. But when we're open and honest about the boundaries, right, they know what they are. And so now if they choose to cross them, that's a totally different issue.
Yeah, right.
But, it's like Lysandra and I, before we got married, we talked about, hey, when we get in disagreements, when we're going to fight, which all people fight, we've set up some ground rules where it's like, we're not going to call each other names, right? And so for the most part, we've stuck to that. Mm-hmm. So the only one that hasn't stuck to that is me. Mm-hmm. And that was one time, and I knew what the boundary was, and I willfully chose to cross that boundary, and I knew right away. Like, I felt it right away. I was like, that was off limits, and I knew it was off limits. And so had to go back and deal with that, so we could go back and deal with the actual problem of what we were fighting about. But we've been very open and clear about the boundaries.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And that really, really helps. Like, it helps you feel safe.
Yeah.
You feel safe in the relationship for sure. It's also going to help you guys foster empathy and support, okay? When both of you feel heard, and the truth of your feelings is heard by the other spouse, empathy is going to grow between the two of you. You're going to empathize with each other. So this is kind of funny because I don't have a specific time, but there have been times where the girls are frustrated about something with you. It could be anything. And, I know. Parking the cars the way, because we have 4 cars in a driveway.
Yeah.
And we try to get all the cars in. And different things. And like, they'll talk about like how I saw Dad park crooked, and if I parked crooked, I would be in so much trouble. But he parked crookeder than I do, or something like that. Like, he wasn't as far over as I am. And like,
first of all,
here we go.
It's my driveway,
okay.
so I'll park any way I want to.
Great. But there are times when like I'll talk to them and I'll be like, you got to think about what Daddy's dealing with. Like, he was rushing home to hurry up and make it to this meeting where he had someone coming, and it was a very serious situation. Like, the car was not what he was thinking about, or whatever. And where I'm empathizing with you because I know you and I know how you're feeling and I know what stress you have, and I know. So like, the more honest you are and telling your spouse how you're feeling and what's happening inside, even your stress levels or whatever, you're going to be able to empathize with them and they with you. So if you have not let your spouse in on any of the truth that is happening inside, emotionally, then they can't empathize with you because they don't even know about it. They just kind of think you're a jerk.
Yeah.
That's really what happens. So you got to let them in. And that comes with being honest about everything. And this can all help. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with communication, active listening, which is, repeating back what they're saying, giving them your full attention, putting the phone down. We've talked about these things in previous episodes. All of these different things can help build understanding. It's going to relieve stress in your relationship and in your life personally. And it's going to give you more emotional safety.
Yeah.
Because like, you understand what's happening in your spouse. So these are all reasons to let your yes be yes and your no be no in your marriage relationship. Isn't it funny that we even have to talk about this?
Yeah.
Because you kind of think like, yeah, we're married. Of course, we're just going to be honest with each other all the time. But it doesn't happen.
Well, and I think a lot of times it's like, for us, we've been married almost 23 years, and a lot of times when couples have been married for a long time, they can fall into this idea of, well, they should just know me now.
Yeah, no.
They should just know how I feel, or they should just know what I want or what I expect. And I think sometimes that's where a lot of the miscommunication and hurt and whatever comes from, because we just assume that they should know after all these years, but we can't just assume things. We all know what happens when we assume.
Yeah. And not only that, though, the way that you were 23 years ago is not the way you are now.
No.
Not at all. And I'm so glad.
I'm a shell of the person I used to be.
You're so much better. It's because I scooped out all the stuff that was bad.
Yeah.
Now you're just a
now
shell.
I'm just empty.
But it's better. Empty is better than what it was. But seriously, like, I'm not the same even this month as I was last month. I changed.
You change hour to hour with all those personalities you got locked up in there.
Exactly. So you don't know what you're going to get. That's why you got to communicate. So don't put that on your spouse. Like, you should just know me after all these years. You have to communicate. The burden of communication is on you to communicate and say what you actually mean. Stop beating around the bush. Stop hinting. Stop, trying to be cute. I don't know. What are we doing when we do that? We do it though, don't we?
We do.
We totally do it.
So you need to say what you mean what you say. But here's the second part of this is don't say it in a mean way.
Right.
Just because you're speaking the truth or the reality of your thoughts and feelings doesn't mean you ever have the right to be a jerk to your spouse. And I think about those people who are like, well, I'm just being real. That's just me. And I'm like, no, you're a real jerk. Like, you don't have to say it in a mean way. You can be open. You can be authentic. You can communicate clearly without being a jerk about things.
Well, and if who you are authentically is a jerk,
You got
then
some work to do.
you need to change that. That's not okay.
Yeah, which authentically, that's probably who I was 23 years ago.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean it was right. So,
And I loved you then. And I love
but
you now.
even then, it being the jerk wasn't being authentic. That was just an excuse to be unkind.
Yeah.
So, but it just amazes me how unkind married people can be to one another.
Oh yeah, we see it all the time, and we do it to each other too when we get stuck in a rut or we start getting a little relaxed in our relationship. But we see it in other people
Yeah.
where we're just like, I can't believe that they said that to each other or that they would talk that way to each other.
Yeah, because with what we do, whether it's traveling or church or whatever, we spend a lot of time with a lot of different people. And there are times where we just come away and we're like, you know what? We don't really want to spend time with that couple because of the way that he talks to her or the way that she treats him. It's just like, it feels like bad to be around.
It's like the ick feeling. You just feel ick. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we talk about speaking the truth, but speaking the truth in love, as we see in scripture, when you are speaking the truth about your feelings, your thoughts, whether or not the outfit makes them look fat, remember you're speaking it in love. So the goal is to be loving in your response every single time.
Yeah.
Listen to this. Tone can account for almost 40% of how our message is perceived. 40%. So we did an episode on body language,
Yeah.
and body language was a really big one. Tone is another big part of the message.
Yeah, I mean, this percentage doesn't seem to fit with what I remember about that episode.
I know. I was trying to remember what we said about the body image or the body language percent. I feel like it was like 60%.
I know words
This
was
is-
like words were like super small.
Yeah, the
So
words don't matter.
This is close. I mean, the actual words you say is like almost non-important. I mean, they
Yeah,
are important,
like 10%.
but it's like so small compared to how you say it.
Right. Yeah, and what your body's doing. But
Yeah.
think
So
about
if you
your
haven't listened to
tone.
the body language episode, you should go back and check that out
Yeah.
because that makes a big difference in how your message is received as well.
It does, right. But we're going to talk a little bit about tone. Tone was hammered in at our house. Like when the kids were little, tone was so important. And this was hilarious. Okay, I got to share this little story about what happened last night. So we're having lasagna. It's me and my 4 girls and then my 2 nieces, whom I love and adore. And we're all having dinner at the table. And the girls, I mean, girls are awesome, but girls are also like, they can be savage with their words.
Yeah.
Savage. They can just slice and dice. So we're all sitting around and they're just joking with each other. And you know how like we used to be like, burn.
Yeah.
Now they're like, you got clocked. I don't even know.
What?
I'm like, this is new. Okay.
That sounds so dumb.
Yeah, I know.
That
That's what
sounds
I
like
told them.
something Flava Flav came up with. It's like,
Yes!
you got clocked.
You got clocked. So funny.
Yeah.
So they're clocking each other. All right. I don't know.
gosh.
And they're clocking me and I'm clocking them, whatever. So it was really funny. So Catherine was sitting across from Abigail and Maddie, the cousin, was sitting next to Abigail. And Abigail said something in response to Maddie, but she was looking at Catherine. So she said it really nasty. Like, and I was like, Abigail, why are you talking to Maddie like that? And she goes, oh, I thought Catherine said it. Because like, you know, when you're close to somebody, you kind of can be like a jerk to them.
Yeah. She's like,
And yeah, it's just like how you talk to your sister because you know your sister's always there.
Yeah.
And
she like grandfather clocked her sister. How does it work? Like if it's, we would say like Major Burn or something.
yeah,
like,
exactly. I don't know.
Grandfather clock, cuckoo clocked you.
That does not sound cool. No teenager wants to say cuckoo. Yeah, so we were laughing, and I was like, dude, you shouldn't have that tone with your own sister. But so even to this day, I'm still talking to my
What'd she say?
teenage daughters. Oh, I cannot remember. It is like rapid fire.
Yeah.
When they're all together.
It is fun.
It's like craziness, and you're like, well, what? And this conversation's happening over here, and this one over here, and then there's one happening across the whole group, and it's all going at the same time. So you like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like ADD of a conversation.
But it's funny because like so many people, like when the girls were toddlers, were talking about, oh, just wait till they're teenagers. It's going to be horrible. And I'm like, we're having the time of our lives. We have so much fun.
Awesome.
Like just sitting around, talking,
laughing,
doing all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Clocking each other.
Yeah.
But we really talked to our girls about tone when they were small. I'm talking like 3, 4, 5. They're not going to be allowed to be like, what? Oh, no. If you need to ask that question, then you can say, excuse me, please. It's all about tone. And this is something that spouses kind of just overlook. Like, because it's the one I'm married to and they're never going to leave me, I'm just going to talk to them any way I want. I'm not going to actually work on my tone.
Yeah. And we need to be thoughtful in how we say things, because there are times where either Lysandra and I, and I'm going to say I don't know that I'm, being short or, whatever. I don't realize it. Maybe I'm stressed or whatever else, and I'm not making an excuse, but I'm just saying there are times when I'm stressed and I don't realize the way that I'm communicating with you. And I assume when you're coming at me, there's times where you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's times where you do know, but
I don't think I ever like try to be nasty to you, but yeah, it does happen.
But even for us, it's like we've been married almost 23 years, like deeply in love. Like I think that we have a great marriage, but there's still times where our tone is really not what it should be. Mm-hmm. And so we have to have a conversation about that. Like, hey, can you just step back for a second? Because I feel like you're really coming at me right now for some reason. I'm sure there's a reason, but...
Yeah. And we will talk to each other about that, which is part of being honest.
Right. It's like your tone is not cool right now.
Right. And dishonesty lets your spouse just talk to you that way and you just get mad about it, but you don't tell them about it. Honesty says, hey, you're not being very nice to me. Did you even know that? And most of the time, they don't know it.
Yeah.
So why? Why do we tend to say it in such a mean way? Why are we so comfortable being so rude to our spouses? It's just weird how that works. It's not just what we say, but how we say it. And that's like the classic woman thing. It's not what you said, it's how you said it.
Yeah.
But truly it matters, So it might be stresses. And Thomas mentioned stress. If you are stressed about money, about like the kids are being nuts, maybe pressure at work or other family conflicts, like, like you're not getting along with your own mom or whatever else, that can build up and it can come out in your tone to your spouse. It can come out in the way where you're talking mean to your spouse.
Well, and I remember when your sister was going through cancer.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden one day we were in the van with all the kids and you just kind of lost it.
Oh, I lost it on all of you. Yeah.
And it was like, what in the world? It was like out of nowhere, it felt like. Mm-hmm. But like you had been holding in this kind of stress and worry for your sister who's 1,000 miles away fighting cancer. And it just kind of came out that way.
That's right.
Now that's not an excuse. And Lysandra did, like, she like apologized to all of us and was like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have spoken to you that way. Like, we still have to own it. Like, just because there are legitimate reasons for why it's coming out that way doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah. We don't get a free pass just because of all these things. These aren't excuses. Yeah. They're just like, okay, why do we do that?
Yeah.
And it can be underlying resentments and stuff that you've never addressed. This is what happens with me. So like I'll have something that I'm resenting Thomas for. It could be
I do a lot of annoying things.
Oh man.
So many.
And that's the thing is like, I'm like, I don't want to constantly be that wife who's like, hey, can you work on this? I'm sick of this, all the time. Like I want to give this poor guy a break. But then
I'm trying, people, but I'm still a man.
yeah, you are. And so I try to let things go, and sometimes I can't. And then it'll come out later and I'll get mad about something stupid. And I'm like, okay, I know why I actually got mad and why I talked to you that way. It's because I'm actually irritated about this thing that you've been doing. We got to talk about that. So be thinking about that.
And the thing is, many people model communication based on what they witnessed growing up. Mm-hmm. So if sarcasm, put downs, or yelling were common at home, they may unintentionally adopt that style in their marriage. And so it just kind of, you become, in a lot of ways, what you've witnessed growing up. Like, that's just the way that it works, right?
Right.
And so...
yeah, unless you break the cycle, which this is going to be a little plug for the next episode. We're talking about breaking family cycles next week. And this is one of the cycles that you maybe need to interrupt, and you need to be the one that says it stops with me. And that is the way you speak to your family, the way you speak to your spouse.
Which, I mean, sarcasm, I don't think put downs or yelling are okay. But sarcasm, if your spouse, communicates that way as well and likes that kind of banter, there's nothing wrong with it. But if your sarcasm is hurtful and they're not into it, like you need to definitely change that.
Well, and some sarcasm is mean. Like, some sarcasm is okay and safe, and others is just way past the line. And you just got to know where that line is.
Right. And that goes back to what we talked about before with the boundaries, is like open communication where, hey, this is not a subject I want to joke about.
Yeah.
Or,
I don't think this is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another reason that sometimes we're just mean when we communicate with our spouse is we are insecure and we're looking for power and control in the relationship. Just being insecure, we can act terrible. And I think we've all seen this with like little girls or smaller children. When they feel insecure in the relationship and the friendship, they can be mean to either the friend or another friend to kind of like give them power in the relationship. We've seen it many times. So just keep that in mind. That may be what's actually happening, right? The issue is not really that like you're not loading the dishwasher right. I'm not really mad about that. I am more trying to assert power. I'm trying to regain balance in the relationship because I'm insecure about the fact that you seem like you've got the upper hand in this relationship. Or maybe they feel the need to dominate as a way to feel safe or to feel in control. And this can be a man or a woman. A lot of times when we hear the word dominate, we think of a man. But I have seen many women just dominate their men. And it is clearly a lack of security. Like, they are very insecure, and that's why they're doing it.
So here's kind of a question to stop and consider for just a second. And that is, how do we change the way we talk to our spouse and say it in a kind way? Right?
Yeah. It's hard to change a pattern.
It can be very difficult, which is why we're going to be talking about breaking those cycles. But it kind of starts, you're talking about changing how you talk and the way that you talk to your spouse or to your kids or whatever. I know we're focusing in on kind of the marriage relationship today, but first of all, you've got to learn to be self-aware. Right? And so you have to recognize what it is that you're doing. And notice when you're criticizing or stonewalling. And you may have to just take a time out. Just a short pause helps calm emotions, keep things from boiling over, so that you don't say things in a way that you're going to regret later.
I want to talk real quick about stonewalling, because this is something that I wasn't really familiar with that term. But
it's Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson.
Stonewall Jackson.
Yeah.
Stonewalling is like if you're in an argument and you're not winning or it's not going the way you want, and so you just walk away or you shut down. And basically you're saying like, we're done. We're not talking about this anymore. Like, you're stonewalling and the argument has come to a halt because you've decided that on your own. And that's not going to help you.
Where'd you get that definition?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I looked it up on my phone.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you know that?
Yeah, I was just waiting for you to throw out Webster's name somewhere.
Ah, ha, ha. See, I'm not doing that.
Your favorite guy in the world.
Oh, Mr. Webster, I love you. Give your spouse permission to point out when you're speaking in an unpleasant way. And as we've already talked about, Thomas and I have given each other permission to do this. And you should have this conversation with your spouse. You should tell your spouse, hey, babe, we got to talk. I want you to know that I'm not okay with talking to you in an unpleasant way. I'm not okay with having a mean tone with you. And I need your help with this. So if I start to do it, I just need you to tell me. I just need you in a nice way to be like, oh, wait, that's not really how I want you to talk to me. Or you sound a little angry, or whatever. And whatever it has to be. And sometimes we say like, you're being short with me. Thomas likes to say, it feels like you're coming at me, or whatever. And so I want Thomas to tell me that because I don't want to do that. That's not who I want to be. I want to be a person who is kind and loving all the time, not just when it's easy, but literally all the time across the board.
Well, and I know like when I feel like Lysandra's coming at me, it makes me kind of want to put this defensive mode. Like I feel like you're attacking me right now, and I have to defend myself. And of course, that's not going to lead to any kind of helpful communication.
Right, exactly. And you might disagree about how you sound. So they may be like, okay, you're snapping at me. And you're like, I am not snapping at you. Have you guys had that conversation in your marriage? I feel like this is a conversation most people have had.
I think, sometimes, yelling, like you'll say I'm yelling at you. And I'm like, I'm passionate. I may raise my voice a little, but it's not yelling.
Yeah.
I've never yelled at you. You've never heard me yell at you.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't know that you've ever heard my yelling voice.
You have yelled at a hammer in my presence, and I felt like you were yelling at me.
Yeah, that's different. That's not yelling at you.
But here's the thing. Hear them out when they're saying like, the way that you sound, you're being nasty to me. Hear them out, okay? Because however it's coming across to them is reality for them. If they feel like you're yelling at them, then for them, you are yelling at them.
Yeah, so then I need to lower my volume.
Yep, lower the volume, maybe like take a breath, have a softer tone. Some people need a softer tone more than others do because of past trauma or abuse, or simply because it's what they're used to growing up. If you never had anybody raise their voice in your home growing up, then when your spouse talks at what you would consider a normal level, it feels like screaming.
Well, and that's the thing I was sharing with this men's Bible study that I did yesterday. I was talking about the fact that, yelling, if I raise my voice even a little, like you will shut down. Mm-hmm. And so, having to learn how to break that cycle and to communicate in a more calm manner.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do think that this one is a really good way to work on changing the way you talk to your spouse is giving them permission to point out when you're speaking in an unpleasant way. I think this one's a really good key.
Yeah.
And you may need to have a counselor. Like you may need to have a third party who's neutral, who can be like, no, that really is too much, or, helping you see the patterns and develop new patterns. How can you develop new patterns, right? And they're going to help you with that. Or addressing trauma or triggers or whatever, helping you rebuild respect, helping you rebuild trust, and all of those things, and kind of talking about the tone of voice and the way you are speaking to each other.
Well, and I think, and maybe it's not like total counseling that you need. Like sometimes we definitely need that depending on what's going on.
Yeah, like where we need a mental health professional.
Yeah, but sometimes maybe it's just we need a coach. And I need somebody to give me some action steps that I can take to make some changes that I need to make in my life. And it's just somebody from the outside who can look in and just say, hey, that's not okay. You need to take steps 1, 2, and 3 and work towards, making a change, becoming a better person in this area.
Well, and then holding you accountable. Did you do A, B, and C? Did you do it?
So understanding a coach is all about action. Like they're not necessarily there to listen to all of your problems and just have you vent to them every single week as you sit down. It's like, no, we're focusing in on action, getting you to do something that you want to do or need to do, and holding you accountable for that. And if that's something that you feel like you need, that's one of the things that we do offer here at Family Meeting. You can go to familymeeting.org/shop, and there's options for coaching, whether you need coaching from Lysandra just by herself, coaching from me by myself, maybe you want some coaching with both of us present. Those options are available if you just say, you know what, I just need some action steps. I need somebody to help me take some action in my life.
Yep.
But when we think about married people, we often speak meanly, not because they don't love each other, but because of untreated stress, learned behaviors, power struggles, and being emotionally overwhelmed.
That's right. But the key is recognizing that it's not really about the dish towel. Do you even know that there's a problem with the dish towels, Thomas?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Is this a legitimate thing you're bringing up right now
Yeah.
that I don't know about?
Yeah, I'm bringing it up on the podcast.
I have no idea what you're talking about right
I
now.
feel like out of all the times that I could bring this up, this is the time to bring it up.
All right, what is it?
You're like, let's go. Get your defenses up.
No, because you're speaking in a kind tone right now. I don't feel like you're coming at me. I'm curious, like, what's the deal with the towels?
Okay, so every good woman out there knows that if you use a dish towel, you need to hang it to dry.
Okay.
And sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Other times you use it and then you ball it and it's on the counter.
Okay.
I think you do it when you're cooking.
I do it when I'm cooking, and
Okay, tell me about it.
it's not intentional. But here's what I do: is
You're
like
so cute.
I'm using it, and so that's kind of how I use it. I just wipe my hands with it. I'll set it down. I'll go back and continue what I'm doing. And what sometimes happens is when the food is ready, I'm ready to eat, and I forget about everything else.
Yeah. And then the dish towel, I'll come back into the kitchen later. Like I'll be at work and come home and I'm like, well, Thomas has been cooking. The dish towel is balled on the countertop.
Okay.
I'm just teasing you. I really am. It doesn't actually make me that mad.
That mad. Did you hear that, everybody? She's like, it's not that it doesn't make her mad. It doesn't make her that mad. I heard that.
Right. But here's the key about this. Mean what you say what you mean, and don't say it in a mean way. You got to recognize that it's not really about the dish towel or the dishwasher or the work schedule or whatever. A lot of times it's a deeper, like rooted need for something else, right? Like you're looking for power. You're looking to be the one in control. You are angry about what's happening at work. You're upset because your relationship with your kids is not what you want it to be or whatever. And then when you come home and you see the dish towel on the counter, you're like, why can't you ever hang the dish towel? Do you not know how to do anything right? And that's a horrible thing to say to a spouse. You should never talk that way to your spouse. But it comes out because of other things. So just keep that in mind. Recognize what's actually happening. And if you can have that honesty up along the way, then you're not ever going to get to that point of like flipping out about a stupid dish towel.
Yeah. And with intention, empathy, and new habits or outside help, couples can stop the mean talk and find kinder ways to connect, even when you're upset.
That's right. And one of the things that you can work on too is compliment, critique, and encouragement. So it's like the feedback sandwich. We talk about this often. So it might be like, I love you so much and I know you work so hard for our family. I feel like your work has become more important than we have. Even though I understand you're providing for us and this is the way, you're the reason that we have this beautiful home and you're the reason that our cars still work. And I really appreciate you. So you see there's like a positive, the one critique, the one thing that is bothering you, and then another positive. Focus on solutions, not just problems. And as you can stay up to date on meaning what you say, saying what you mean, then other issues are going to kind of disappear. You're not going to have as much unresolved things, and you're not going to have the tone. So these are just some things that we want you to think about in your own relationship, some ideas of what you can implement to make your relationship with your spouse better. This is the person you've committed to for a lifetime.
Yeah.
They've committed to you for a lifetime. Who do you want to be?
So family meeting tonight, you're going to have a conversation about open, clear, kind communication. And it starts with just saying, hey, how do you feel like I am at communicating clearly and kindly with you? Do do I say what I mean? Do you know that when I say something, that's what I mean? Or do you feel like I'm not being truthful sometimes in how I respond? What about the way that I say things? Do I come across as kind and compassionate, even if we're, in conflict with each other? So you're opening up and just talking about that. Then they get an opportunity to ask that same question for you, and then having a conversation about some of these boundaries and some of these things that we talked about. Be as clear as possible in setting those boundaries, and maybe you do need some outside help. If we can help you, let us know. But have that conversation with your spouse tonight.
Thanks for joining us today, you guys. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting Podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found this information helpful, please share this episode on social media. When was the last time you shared an episode to your socials? We would appreciate that.
So we had Eric and I believe his wife's name's Mandy Stewart just this morning went all the way back and shared episode 3.
Conflict.
No, discipline.
Oh, discipline.
Discipline your children. And so literally I woke up to a notification that they shared episode 3. That was like 245 episodes ago.
Like 6 years ago. We need to listen to that. I wonder.
Yeah.
We probably sound really nervous on the podcast back then.
Yeah, that's way back in the beginning. I think the information is very helpful. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool. But maybe this episode has helped you. We'd love for you to share it with someone else so that it can help them too.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org, or email us at info@familymeeting.org. If you'd like to shoot us a text or call us, you can send a voice message at 904-257-3062.
And we want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we discuss breaking family cycles. How can you do it? How can you actually break a family cycle? It can feel impossible, but maybe you want to say, this ends with me.
Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, you guys. I would love to hear from you. What are some of the reasons you think that it's really easy to speak unkindly to your spouse? What are the ways that you are working on it to change? Maybe you have your own story of like when it wasn't the thing they said, but it was how they said it. Yeah. We'd love to hear from you. We always love to see the comments that you post, and it's just enjoyable to interact with you. So share with us.
And we need you to put in the comments, what's the worst thing a parent can say to a child? Help us as we get ready for episode 250.
Yes.
And with that, we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.